And we're playing the intro video. Hello, everyone joining us on YouTube, Twitter. This is Real Talk with our artists with Aki Ehara. I'm super stoked to be ending our season, this first season of Real Talk with Artists with Aki. Really exciting. And please join in on the conversation. If this is your first time, Real Talk with Artists is an interactive space where we can have honest, real conversations with the geniuses, with the artists that create for us, right? They create either, we've had so many different artists across the board on this show, but today we have Aki, and so let's learn about Aki and learn about him, like what inspires him. So please, chime in, ask your questions, and yeah, let's have a conversation. Happy New Year's Eve to everyone. Aki, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's going good. You know, as good as it can under these weird circumstances and in this very bizarre and intense year.
Yeah. It has been intense, and now we're at the end. It's New Year's Eve. Are you doing something fun to celebrate?
Just hanging out with a friend, and yeah, pretty low key, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go this year.
yeah, definitely.
It's been a pretty low key year for sure.
Yeah.
So Happy New Year's Eve, and tell us a little bit about yourself, Aki.
Let's see. I am a musician. I do recording and production and composition. I'm in a band called the Seshen that's Bay Area based. Yeah, we've been together about 8 years now. So it's been a really fun journey with that band. And yeah, I've just been really trying to, just work with a lot of local artists and beyond, but just really trying to connect with a lot of people in this area specifically. Just because I feel like there's tons of talent here, and the Bay Area is really often kind of passed over for whatever reason. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, what's going on for me in a nutshell.
I love it. So let's talk about your creative journey. So you're a musician. When did that inspiration, when did that fire ignite in you? At what age?
I think probably around 13 is when I first kind of picked up an instrument, which was bass guitar. And getting involved in the punk scene at 924 Gilman, and kind of just really catching the bug of having just DIY spirit, and learning things as you go, and setting up shows as a 13-year-old, and kind of building community, doing music in a really non-judgmental environment. I think that was kind of key to my development.
Okay, so around 13, and what was the type of music you were listening to then?
I think at that age it was pretty much exclusively punk rock and reggae, and a little bit of hip hop. Yeah.
So punk rock and reggae. What are some bands that you can name from back in the day that you loved?
I listened to some of the older bands, Operation Ivy was a favorite. They're from Berkeley. And the Subhumans, the Clash, just kind of the classic punk stuff.
Yeah. And so so before 13, can you recall like a time, even younger, when you were younger, that you were expressing, that you have like expressing yourself through instruments or through another medium of art?
Not really. I mean, well, I've always loved music, and I was exposed to a lot of like really great, um, just like soul and R&B, by my dad in particular.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, and that's been an influence that has, I think, definitely had its impact on me. That like I feel like that's part of my musical DNA, just because like I grew up kind of before I was really conscious of what I was listening to. Like that's what was being played around the house. Um,
Can you name some songs that you're listening to while growing up? Some so
um,
R&B songs.
yeah, I mean, there was always like Tower of Power. My dad's like a very, yeah, very big fan of them. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Uh, he would play Marvin Gaye like almost every morning, like before we'd go to school. Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Okay.
Just all that, like really just great, like, late 60s, early 70s R&B. And
I
yeah,
love that. It sounds like you grew up with a lot of music. That sounds
yeah,
so
yeah.
beautiful. So it really influenced you. So in terms of, and so you were 13, you picked up a bass guitar, and are you born and raised in the Bay Area?
Yeah, so I grew up in Richmond, California.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in LA for about 5 years. I went to UCLA and did my undergrad there, and then came back up because I definitely like it here more than LA. So
Really? Okay.
yeah,
I mean, I feel you. I was raised
yeah.
in LA. No.
Okay.
Yeah, so to all my LA family, it's not that LA's bad or anything, but
No,
there's just
no.
a different kind of vibe, right? There's just a
Yeah,
whole different vibe. I
yeah.
fell
I
in love.
think I think mostly it's just like the amount of driving, that I had to do in LA. That was a challenge, but
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And so that's really interesting. So what did you go to for your undergrad, did you major in music?
so my concentration was ethnomusicology, which is it's kind of a mixture between like anthropology and music. So it was studying music in the context of culture and, um, you know this concentration was less around Western music and not like Western classical, but, um, a lot of traditional musics from around the world. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And so after college, so I did read, I read up that you actually went to Ghana for your undergrad. How long were you there?
So I was there for about 6 months,
Okay,
and
right.
yeah,
And so I read that that's probably maybe the beginnings of your band, the Session.
yeah. So
Okay,
I met, the singer there while in,
okay.
and yeah, we connected around music, and, eventually, uh, started we started having like jam sessions back in the States, and that was kind of the genesis of the band. Um, so yeah.
Okay, I love it. And how was that experience for you? I did read in an article that you took your instrument, you took your bass to Ghana. Is that accurate?
Yeah, so that was really fun. There was a bar on campus, and there was a really great teacher who's actually a pretty famous, Afrobeat musician named, Ebo Taylor. If you look him up on Spotify, he has a pretty big catalog and is really well known. And, he was actually the teacher, and there was this class called Pop Band, and so every weekend we'd learn different songs and perform at the bar that was on campus.
Mhm.
So it was really cool to like be able to sit in with these like amazing Ghanaian musicians, uh, and and like really be immersed in Afrobeat music and different, different styles of music from Ghana that I, was hadn't really been like initiated in, or like played with people who are really like of the tradition. So um yeah, it was like a really big learning experience, and just like really beautiful kind of musical scene to like get a good glimpse into.
Yeah, I love it. What was the inspiration behind going to Ghana for your undergrad?
I think I remember kind of pinpointing it down to the fact that like basically any kind of music that we we in America, or generally now all over the world, really gravitate towards is does have its roots in Africa, and in West Africa in particular, in terms of things that have a backbeat. So like a
Okay.
snare on the 2 and the 4, and just kind of like really wanting to explore the genesis of, and like the birthplace of, these rhythms that like have kind of traveled all over the world and impacted like all music. um you know Anything that people bob their head to, basically, like,
Yeah.
yeah, just really I don't know, going to the source, I guess, and learning more. And I also knew I wasn't really interested in going to like Europe or anything, or I mean, I'm sure it would have been cool, but uh I think just having an experience where I'm more outside of my comfort zone, and just seeing different ways of living.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love that. And I apologize for the background noise. I
me
don't know if
too.
y'all can hear it, but oh my goodness, great timing, right? Neighbors doing construction on New Year's Eve. But if the Verdugo brothers are still with us right now, hello. We have another, maybe Radio Truce or TRUC here. Thank you for joining us. If you're still with us, please chime in. Here's the opportunity to ask Aki some questions. I hope Verdugo brothers are still with us, because they're also, music producers, and yeah, they're DJs. And I'd love for y'all to chime in as artists, as musicians as well. So yes, please, this is interactive. If you have any questions, please chime in. Aki, you have my auntie Gladys, who just joined us as well. So, so si estás con nosotros, tía, puedes preguntarle a Aki cualquier cosa. Él es un músico y productor. Bueno, like, so let's continue. So, okay, I love the fact that, and this is something that I actually noticed about you, Aki, where in just from the beginning. So, quick background: I found out about Aki through Leah Rose. She's also a musician, and she collaborated on a song with Aki, and I saw that on her Instagram, and I checked out Aki, and right away, he resonated with me, because yes, he's a musician. He's an incredible musician. I mean, you could just type in the name of his band, The Seshen, or Aki Ehara, Google it, and you just will come across tons of articles and information about the band. They have a lot of great credit from different newspapers, and so anyhow. But I tend to gravitate to artists that really do express their soul, right? Within their art. And actually, so when the Verdugo brothers joined, they do the same. So it's like you can hear and you can feel the essence of the artists within the medium that they're using, right, to express themselves. For Aki, it's music. And if you go to his Instagram, here you can see it on if you're joining us from a different platform, if you go to his Instagram, you can really see what's at the heart of Aki. And so let's just dive in a little bit deeper, Aki, now that we had like a little bit of a warm up.
Yeah.
And so we know that you're a musician. We know that what you're doing, but tell us a little bit more about what drives your what ignites your inspiration and what drives you to continue on this creative journey, and what reinforces it? That's a pretty loaded question. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you took from it and whatever you like to share, please do.
Yeah, well, I think like just on the most fundamental level, I couldn't see my life without making music. Like it just I feel like I wouldn't I don't know, it'd be kind of hard to survive. uh and yeah, it's really I think the place that I go to understand myself more um and just yeah, it's a way of connecting with others that I mean you really can't put into words. And it's just a place where I feel like my most authentic self. So yeah, I guess that's part of it.
Yeah,
And
that's
yeah,
beautiful.
oh sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
No, keep going. Sorry to interrupt. No, I think that's beautiful. It's that connection, right? And I think
Yeah.
that that's it. When when we hear your music, by the way, Aki has an incredible playlist on Spotify, and I'll pull it up in a second. But it's like there is that connection, right?
Hmm.
And you can tell from the work that you produce and you release that it's very authentic.
Hmm.
So that's what drives you, and what reinforces your career in music?
Um, I think. Well, let's see what reinforces it. I mean, I think a big part is that um, you know, I am really putting a lot of just care into what I work on, and that it you know it's been as well received as it has been it has been a good reinforcement. I don't like necessarily want to be externally motivated or have the way people receive my art to be the thing that keeps me going, but it is really helpful when you kind of notice that things are on an upward trajectory uh, and that you are having people are listening and it's resonating with people, and even small things like hearing that the music touched someone in a certain way, or that I don't know, even a little thing like someone sharing that they're listening to a song, and um, yeah, that's been keeping me involved, and getting to work with other artists who I really respect has really kind of been a good source of validation, just because I feel like I am working with peers whose work is just of a really high caliber, and yeah, and I feel honored often, like, to be working with the people I work with. So
Yeah, I'm sure they feel honored to be working with you as well, Aki. So, okay, but you're 13, you go to school at UCLA, I think it's a study abroad, right, in Ghana. And then
yeah.
when was the first time that you released your music and you shared it with the world?
I mean, the first time in a real major way that I was um, yeah, really really excited to share. I mean, I do feel like I've been in a few bands and I've shared various things, but the session really is the first time where I felt like it was mostly, it was truly my work, and that I felt like it got shared in a way um, that kind of really felt like that release, like it was actually getting to a wider audience. And so I guess, I mean, that was in 2012, but there had been all sorts of releases prior to that. But I feel like it was a lot of it was before the internet kind of had the same role in music, or it was that that ease of being able to release something was it wasn't it wasn't quite the same. It was starting to take shape, you know, being able
Right.
to reach wider audiences. But yeah, I'd say the Seshen is one of the first times I felt like I was truly putting like my my art out into the world.
Wow. Okay. And what was that experience like for you to put your art into the world? Like how, because I personally believe that it takes so much courage. You have to be brave to be able to do that. And I think that a lot of artists, from what I've heard and learned from artists, it takes, it takes so much courage to have something and then to be able to share it with the world. What's that
Yeah.
process like for you?
Um, yeah, it's you know, at the time the stakes didn't feel very high, and um but I think we do have like a fairly large band for this day and age, and I think even just like all of us collectively working on this group of songs, and like really respecting everyone's opinion in the band. I think when we kind of finished the first album, um, and the song Oblivion in particular, which kind of, that was a big song for us, or has been. I think we all kind of knew that this was something worth sharing, or just
Yeah.
genuinely felt that way. And uh, I think, it wasn't like I wasn't expecting a big like response, because there's so much music and just so much content always coming out at like any given time. So
Yeah.
it was, I mean, it was exciting, but I didn't feel like particularly like nervous about it. But I do feel like those, the more of an audience we've gotten, there is a little bit, there's just more nerves, or hoping we can like, you know, live up to people's expectations, which I don't want that to be the case. Like, I want to just be like, I worked on this. This is authentic to me, and if it's authentic to me, I hope it resonates with you. But it does happen where you're like I'm trying something new. I hope people, understand it, or it resonates with them. But
Yeah.
yeah, on the first release, it was really just like, it was pretty exciting. Just like, all right, like we put this thing together that we're proud of. We've really thought about it quite a bit, and we're gonna share it, and we'll see what happens. It wasn't like I wasn't expecting uh, any particular response, but the response turned out to be really good, and yeah, some really cool things came of that album, and the song Oblivion in particular.
What year was Oblivion released?
That was 2012. Yeah.
Wow, okay, so fast forward, it's 2020, and y'all have a million streamers on Spotify.
Hmm.
How is that for you? Seeing
um,
that the analytics for that.
yeah, it's cool. I mean, I kind of wish like Spotify had been, or I feel like we have like more plays than that, because at the time it was released, like uh Spotify wasn't really a thing, which makes me feel like, wow, we've been in a band for a long time. But I mean, it feels good. Like, there's always that thing of like, sometimes you're as a musician, like you're always wanting to like grow the audience and reach more people, but it's really important to stop and just like notice, like, successes like that, and even just like notice that you're just connecting with people, or you did something that's really uh resonating with people and like keeping them coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of resonating with people, right? So when when I mentioned to my sister, so another little bit of a background, Aki, I also have the pleasure and honor to represent Aki within my ethical small boutique media agency, Remedia. And when I mentioned to my sister, who also helped me establish our family business, Estrella Bonilla, who is in Berlin, she's like, "What? I love the session." And so, she had actually been listening to y'all for a very long time.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, true story. Like, I just, I literally, I'm like, where have I been? How am I just listening? And also my son, who is, 21-year-old, like he was listening to the session, right? So
cool.
that was really awesome to be like, wow, like this is great. So you're absolutely resonating with people globally, right? And also from different age brackets, right? I think that's very important. So it sounds like you're creating timeless music, and
I hope
that's
so.
it's really wonderful. Speaking of timeless music, let's get a bit of a taste of the session. I want to play y'all like a video. Thank you, Aki, for sharing this with us. Here we go.
Maybe it's that, maybe the moment's right to open my eyes. I want some light, the high of the ride, to know that there is something to know I'm alive. Movement stops, the sun glistens, moment burns, no one listens. Help me out, the clouds call, they open as I fall into the season two. What I believe and do what we see. Every lesson learned is a voice to be heard. I came here to gather it
Here we go. So yeah, thank you for sharing that with us, Aki.
Yeah.
That's so incredible. So that was released about, and what's the process like to create a song like that, and then have a video? How long from its inception to completion? What's the production like? How long does that take?
It really depends, but yeah, I would say, I mean, it's hard to like put a specific time frame on it because every song's different. But
Yeah.
in terms of having like, there's a lot of moving pieces in terms of being on a label and getting things approved and hitting different deadlines. But yeah, it's usually a pretty long, it feels long to me, pretty long process of just creating and then refining and refining and refining and running it by different kind of trusted individuals. And I mean, so it's usually like Lin and I will kind of work on something and share it with the band, and the band really helps out with kind of taking the the rough sketch and refining it into something and making it feel more three-dimensional and hearing things that maybe I skip over, and yeah, then it goes to the label, and then with something like a video, we share the song with whoever's working on the video, and there's usually a lot of discussion about just back and forth about what's going to work, what we can budget for. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot, but yeah, the part I the part I really want to, or I wish I could solely focus on, is just the music making part. But yeah, and then with a label, there's a whole release schedule that for other artists, and we kind of have to get in line for that. So yeah, I don't know if that
And what
answers your
label are
question.
you? Yeah, absolutely. And what label are you currently on right now?
We are on a label called True Thoughts. They're based in Brighton, in the UK. Yeah.
Very cool. So I have here that an article it's entitled Conversations About Her. And it says that, so your band is it says composed of 6 pieces, right?
Yeah.
Led by the singer, the lyricist, and then you're the producer. So that's a total, like, 6 people. What's that like? I mean, because I can't imagine like the magic, the synchronicity that is involved in getting 6 bandmates together, right, to create incredible song. Like, and what keeps y'all together? How did that happen, right? How did y'all come together, and then what's keeping y'all together?
Let's see. Yeah, there was a lot of like just interesting connections in the band. So it kind of started with Lin and I, and then a lot of people. Let's see. So I guess I'll just start with. So there's Lin and I. I guess the next person to get involved with the band was Mahesh, who plays keys, and he's a friend that I've known since elementary school, and so he came in just by jamming at these like house parties I would have, and then after that, Mirza joined, who plays percussion, and I met him at a party in Oakland, and we started talking about music, and I was like, "Oh, I'm starting this band," and he actually responded, which I wasn't expecting. So he started practicing with us, and I just remember noticing one. I mean, just like technical skill he has, and like he's just a good percussionist, but also his ability to kind of look at the song from a bigger perspective, and like he would notice things in practice that like could be improved upon, or when things got too busy, and so yeah, he joined pretty early on as well, and then so we did a bunch of work on the album, and it got to be so full of like production that I was like, we need someone to kind of help us execute all of this live. And that's when one of my best friends, Kumar, joined, who I've known since kindergarten, actually. And I've been in bands with him in the past.
And who is that here in the picture that we're seeing right now?
He's wearing the beanie on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
amazing. So you've been knowing him since kindergarten. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Did y'all play when you were in? Did y'all play as teens?
Yeah, he was in my first band with me, and yeah,
Oh
we've been
my
connected for a long time.
And are
and
we watching like all the current? So I have a different photo on Instagram.
Yeah.
This is from the UC theater. But so are all these the same band members, original band members?
No, we had a different drummer in the beginning when we released the first album, who's also a longtime friend. His name's Julian Pont, and yeah, he just ended up being too busy to kind of really make it happen. So
Is this one of the original photos that we're watching now on Instagram?
oh yeah.
You look really young there. I mean, not to say you look young right now, Aki. You look really young.
Yeah.
But this one definitely looks so this I'm like, oh, this is probably an original photo here. This is awesome. Okay, who else can you tell us about from the band?
And then so there's also Chris, who we actually just put up an ad on Craigslist, and looking to audition drummers, and he's the one that we picked. Yeah, he just had Chris is to the right of Kumar, so right there. Yeah. No. Yeah. 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 That does. Yeah. Yeah. I think that we all just really love playing together, and it really does feel like a family. I also think one of the things that keeps us together is that everyone just has a certain level of maturity, emotional maturity, and doesn't have a huge ego, because I've been in lots of bands where everyone clearly loves making music together, but there's just like, there can either be just a lacking in communication skills between people, or just personalities that clash. But I think I feel incredibly fortunate that everyone in the band just is really focused on kind of the greater goal of sharing our music, and yeah, just creating something that's bigger than us, and no one's really trying to do any more than that.
Yeah, I love that. That's the chemistry, right? It's putting the ego aside, and one of the words that you use to describe yourself is your authenticity. And I think that that's a really important, right? In order to have a cohesive band that vibes, right? Not just in music, but also, like, I mean, I think I could get pretty deep to say, in order to create and then be able to release what you're creating, it has to, you also have to have like that chemistry, that bond at a soul level. And so
Yeah,
it makes sense why you feel that it's an extended family. It's your family. That's
yeah,
very, very beautiful.
yeah,
I think when it comes to egos, whether you're creating music or whatever it is that you're expressing yourself through an artistic medium, it is very hard. I mean, I do a lot of content, and then it's really very hard for the ego to just push it aside and not have that inner critic continuously
yeah,
talking. But I think the key to that is always to maintain the focus on what you're doing, right? That's like the greater good, and
yeah.
maintaining that focus. So that's a very beautiful thing. What advice would you have for younger musicians that are looking, perhaps they're in high school and they're wondering, should I pursue music or should I pursue a different career, that is, that is probably going to sustain me financially, right? Because
Hmm.
we know it's hard, right, to pursue this creative journey. So
Yeah.
for someone, a young person
Yeah,
wondering,
someone younger.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, I'm trying to think of what I would tell my younger self.
I love it.
Um, I think I think just that one it's a pretty long journey, and um, I think having focus is really important. Um, just in terms of like how you spend your time with uh, practicing, and just being aware of what you're trying to focus on. Um, yeah, I think uh, I don't know. This is tough to think about.
And you actually asked the question that I normally ask. Like, I like to ask my interviewees, like, think back at your 4-year-old self, right? Like,
Mhm,
what would you tell like your 4-year-old self?
mhm.
And then you actually was like, what would I, what advice would I give my younger self? Yeah, like but again, it's like digging deep, going to that root, right? Of
Yeah,
of your self-expression and of your
yeah,
purpose.
yeah. I think I'd also say just I think it's really important to um, I think just and I'm still learning this, like share share your work with other artists, and really I guess I'm really realizing now even how important it is to just go through different stages of editing, and being less afraid to share your work with people before it's done. Um, so just kind of really being open to criticism, and accepting accepting feedback. Uh, that's something I wish I had kind of opened myself up to more in previous times. Um, and I think also one thing that's been really important for me is uh, I think just always keeping your ears open, and you'll always kind of have like a core musicality about you, but I think it's really important to not kind of stay stuck in terms of what you're listening to, and the kinds of art that you take in, because you're always going to find things you like about any new given piece of art that you take in, and you know as long as you kind of can keep adding to this like amalgamation of like the influences you have, it'll keep you from just kind of sounding old, or like you're stagnant as an artist. So just like really really always just keeping the gates open in terms of like what new art you're listening to, and it doesn't even have to be remotely related to the music that you make, but just having a curiosity there and trying new things, I feel like keeps your mind limber. And I really do think I gain a lot just from listening to artists that are younger than me, because music is always changing, and it's changing really fast, and there's people just thinking in ways that you don't or can't, and I think it's really fun to just keep your mind open. I don't know. I guess it's that simple.
I love that. And so you decided to pursue music as your career early on, or have you done, like, have you pursued a different career journey?
Let's see. I knew I always wanted to do it, but it wasn't until maybe 5 years ago that I actually did. So I worked with young people for probably like 8 years. And I was doing music at the same time. And then I kind of got to a point with my production and mixing and recording work where I was like, it's not that much of a stretch for me to leave my job. And if I really focus, like I can make up that difference just with the work that's coming in. So it's interesting because I really did love that work, and in certain ways, the work I did with young people.
What was that specifically?
So I worked in at an after-school program in Berkeley for a long time, and I did like English language tutoring and just kind of day-to-day, like running the program stuff. And it has been interesting because in one way there was less kind of music was like a little bit more of a refuge when there wasn't that financial pressure to deliver in that way. It felt like some place I could escape to in a really good way, but then it also just feels really good to know that I can earn a living from, like, all these skills I've been honing for like years and years. And but yeah, I do want to find more ways to kind of bridge the gap between what I got out of like just feeling a sense of community working with young people and like my music career. And I'm still kind of figuring that out, but I have I before the pandemic I was doing meetups like every other week, usually at like the Double Standard in downtown Oakland, just with like a whole bunch of musicians. I'd have like, I think I had like 100 people on this email, and I'd invite them all to come out, and it was mostly just for fun, like, and to connect, and I didn't really want like networky energy, just like I just wanted to connect cool people that I know. And I'm hoping we can get back to something like that when we are allowed to see each other in person again.
Yeah, that's very, very important, right? Community, and also extending ourselves, volunteering, extending ourselves to different communities. I think that after school programs are invaluable to our overall communities, right? Because you are servicing often the most vulnerable populations, right? If you're not doing an after school program for private school, you're in a public school, that's our vulnerable populations. And those are the youth that truly need creative channels of expression, right? Like they need that type of influence that I'm sure you brought, to the youth that you were engaging with when you were in the after school program. That's so important. So I hope that one day like how to maybe go back to that, volunteer. I'm sure the youth will love you and get a lot of inspiration from you, right?
Yeah.
Keep that light alive.
yeah, I did volunteer for a couple years after I left, and that was really fun, and just like the staff there and the teachers, like I had built really great relationships with people, and
Yeah,
so yeah.
that's that's so beautiful. And so we only have about 8 more minutes here, and I want to maximize my time with you. So I want to share with folks also your playlist, Aki, because I started my New Year's Eve with your awesome playlist. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm not biased. This is a dope playlist. Talk to us about your playlist, Aki. If you're joining us on Instagram, hello. We're about to wrap up in about 8 minutes. So if you have a pressing question for Aki, something that you'd like to ask him, here's your chance. We're having an honest conversation with Aki, right? He is an authentic human being. And so ask him some authentic questions. But right now, we're looking at his playlist on Spotify. I was trying to put it up here on Instagram, but it's not coming up good. Anyway,
No.
we're looking at your pot. Talk to us about your Spotify, Aki.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of just I guess my mix and production portfolio, stuff that I've put together over the past, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, and yeah, I mean, just looking back on it, yeah, I'm like, it's something I am proud of, and I've really just gotten a lot from working with all of these different artists on here. Yeah, it's really great to just, I don't know, just how much you can learn by producing with someone else, and helping them get to their vision, and kind of understanding that, like, from the inside out, because everyone's approach to music is different, and I'm always like surprised, just by how someone hears things differently than me, and that there's really no correct way, or that I don't know, I think one of my favorite things about working with other people is just that my assumptions about things can be dashed in like really awesome ways, and in ways where I just uh, kind of I just look at things from the eyes of someone else, and can reach a different kind of understanding about the music I'm working on with them. Yeah.
I love it. So there's 38 songs on this playlist. So this is incredible work. You've done work on all of these songs.
Yeah, yeah. So I've mixed all of them, and then a good number of them I also co-produced. So just like making choices about tones, and you know even some of the songwriting, and just kind of really helping people like articulate the vision they have for the music they're making. Yeah,
I love
yeah.
the Kev choice till summer.
Oh
That's
yeah,
that's a groovy one. I can hear the R&B influence on that one. It's
yeah. I mean, that one I can't take too much credit for, because I pretty much just mixed that. It was a pretty like put together project. I mean, if you know Kev or the guys involved, like they know what they're doing, and they I just tried to make it as separated and sound as good as possible. Oh, Tropez. So that's a band I was a part of a while back. I mean, I guess I still am, more or less. I think we'll release something in a bit, but Yeah, they're friends of mine. They're both Oakland based. It's more of a rock project. Uh, yeah, and it's based around the songwriter. He's a band member. His name's Sanjay Vora, and he's a really amazing visual artist, painter in his own right. But
Oh,
yeah, I've really enjoyed just working with them. Yeah.
yeah. I have here, let's see. Oh, so let me share with folks on Instagram. So Aki, you worked with Leo Rose on a
Oh yeah.
song, right?
Hmm.
And it was featured um, on the Netflix The Order for season 2 for the season for the like finale season. It was literally like the end of a scene, right?
Yeah.
You have that song here on your playlist.
I don't yet. I think I've been like I haven't been the best about updating the playlist lately. So
Yeah, so this
um,
playlist is even longer than 38. That is, yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations, Aki. This is
thanks.
incredible, incredible. How does it feel like when you first started hearing from your fans, people fanning out on you? What was that like for you?
Uh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's like necessarily directed at me, but or more towards like the band, or I feel like I kind of enjoy being a little more behind the scenes in that regard. Like I like to just be able to do my work and kind of make things, you know, leave my stamp on it in the musical way and let that speak for itself.
Okay, so you're a humble artist, a humble musician. But yeah, I mean, if I have to be honest, I was so stoked about this interview. So I was like, okay, I have to
Mm.
take a deep breath. I mean, I'm a total fan, Aki, so thank you so much. And
Oh yeah.
I was, yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to be really chill. My son likes to critique me a lot. He's like, Ma, you're smiling too much, you're doing too much. I was like, and now I'm so excited to be interviewing Aki. And oh my goodness, I'm not gonna be able to stop cheesing the whole entire time. Um, so tell us about right before you go. Tell us about what type of other work are you available for when you're not, working for when you're taking breaks, maybe from producing music. I know that you have been helping me with my music and my audio for a podcast called Life is Inquiry. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. We're releasing episode 7 today, later today, thanks to Aki. So can you tell us a little bit about what you're available for in case folks want to reach out, that y'all can actually book Aki for these services through us, through Remedia. So what is the
Yeah.
work open for commissions for?
Yeah. So I mean, pretty much anything audio related. Like scoring music for, video or podcast editing, just general mixing. Like if you have demos you've been working on, or a song that you want, you're not sure where to go with it. Yeah, that sort of thing.
What are
Yeah.
some tips that you can give to podcasters when right before like they submit work to you?
Um, I guess just focus on getting, you know, uh, focus on getting a consistent setup a and like a and just try to make sure that you're handing something off that is not going to require tons of editing. Like if it takes you 10 times of reading something through without a mistake, then take that time and save yourself some money, I'd say. Or like if anything you can do on your own to like just keep everything neat, I feel like everyone involved has an easier time in the long run. Yeah. It sounds good today. Yeah. Yeah, you too. Mhm. Mhm. Sure. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Bye.